All right, gentlemen, how's everybody doing? Hopefully we're all doing good. Hopefully we're ready and excited for the 2023 meeting. I am opening the rules meeting up right now. The meeting is beginning at 9:01 a.m. So we are now called to order. Steve Elias here, and we have all the other board members here. We'll get to everybody as we're going, and we're going to go over the rules. We're going to go over other different procedures and policies, introduce you to new assigners, introduce you to all the board members, and keep the day moving here as efficiently as we can. What I will ask is for everybody that does have their volume on, their microphone on, please mute your microphone, or Ryan will automatically mute your microphone. If you have a question, please put your question in the chat room. Rusty and Kirk are going to be monitoring the chat room. If you need to raise your hand for something, you can also raise your hand and we can then unmute you if you need to ask a question live or something like that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We want to try to avoid as much background noise as we possibly can to make sure that everyone can hear everything that they need to as clearly and concisely as they possibly can. Thank you very much, guys. Before we continue, what I would like to mention is one of lacrosse's major role models has unfortunately passed. Unfortunately, we have gone through the passing of Gordon Corsetti. He will be missed. He has been an integral part of USA Lacrosse, him and his entire family, for a number of years. Just if we could all just have Gordon in our thoughts and in our prayers as we're moving through the season, and let's try to put forth the amount of effort in our game that Gordon has put forth in all the things that he's done for the lacrosse community, guys. Gordon was a champion for lacrosse officials, and he should definitely be remembered as such. All right, on to the business. Let's get some of the administrative stuff quickly out of the way. SCLOA dues need to be paid. They can be sent to Rusty, either to send that stuff over to Rusty through the Venmo account, and that Venmo account is going to be put up for you guys to be able to see it. I know some people have paid, some people haven't paid. You can also email Rusty. You can also send the payment in a check to Rusty if you need to call him or let him know that, hey, the check's in the mail today or whatever. That's fine. Those dues for the SCLOA need to be paid by 11:59 tonight. If they are not paid by 11:59 tonight, then you will not be able to participate in the vote. If your dues are not paid, and or if you have not contacted Rusty by 11:59 p.m. this evening, then you will not be included in the vote that's going to be happening on Monday for the at-large positions. Everyone also needs to pay their South Carolina High School League dues. Make sure that gets done. That's done through the South Carolina High School League arbiter page. Then please make sure you pay your USA Lacrosse dues. The USA Lacrosse dues need to be paid through the USA Lacrosse website. Our exams. We are responsible for taking, before the season begins, the NFHS exam. The NFHS exam needs to be completed through the website of the South Carolina High School League page. You get on their administration page and you click on testing, and everything will be up on there. So make sure you take those. Make sure you take your NFHS exams. The USA Lacrosse exams need to be completed before the spring season begins. All right, before the spring season begins, so that way we're all prepared for all that stuff. A lot of the assigners will not assign guys according to what your registration is. Now, we need to be a fully registered USA Lacrosse member according to our bylaws. So please make sure you get yourself all done with all your USA Lacrosse exams. All right. Does anyone have any questions about any of the dues or responsibilities? Your exams, the exams need to be done for NFHS by February 5th. That'll be the 30 days. February 5th is the last day to be able to take your exam. So if you have any questions about your exam, I believe you need to get a 70 on the exam. It's not a very difficult grade to achieve. Why it's only a 70, that's above my pay grade. Anyway, but make sure you get those things done before February 5th, okay? Before February 5th. So moving on, new board members. Ryan Bailey has come on and he has taken over for Mark Harden. Mark Harden has stepped away as secretary and as the assigner in the Midlands, and Ryan Bailey has now taken over that role as not only the secretary, but he's also taken over the role as being the Midlands assigner as well. Charlie Bond has also stepped into being another at-large member, and Charlie Bond is an at-large member from the upstate. So that's what we have going on. And the at-large members is what we are going to be voting on later on today. And I'm going to be going over the voting process with everyone as I'm continuing with my report here. As I already said, the new assigner is going to be Ryan Bailey in the Midlands. We still have Mitch Peterson in the upstate. Tom Gregg is going to be handling the southern coast. I'm going to be handling the northern coast. Tom Gregg is the initial assigner. He's going to be initially assigning everyone their games in the arbiter, and then the regional assigners are going to be able to then make the adjustments before all those games end up going out live. So if you have any questions about the region that you're in, about the assigner you need to contact, those are the assigners in those areas that you're going to need to be able to reach out to. This is going to be our last rules meeting on Zoom. After this meeting, what we're going to do for our rules meeting, we're going to be getting back together again in Columbia, and probably going to be moving it to the week after the divisional championship games and before the Super Bowl. That seems that might be the best week. Not sure, and that'll be discussed amongst the board members, but probably plan on that being the week for next year that our meeting is going to be happening in Columbia next year in person. The other thing that the other thing I've been working on myself, not with anybody, is the potential for moving into a 2-inch jersey. That's going to be one of the things that we're going to be voting on. I've been speaking with Zebra Gear, and one of our fellow officials is a member of Zebra Wear, about going into a sublimated 2-inch jersey for SCLOA. What I'm going to do is put that out there to everybody and see if we want to go to that. If we don't want to go to that, that'll be not a decision that I make. It'll be a decision that you guys as a chapter makes. If you want to, great. If you don't want to, great. I could care less about that, whether or not we want to or not. However the vote goes, the vote goes. If after I'm speaking and someone wants to discuss this a little bit further, then we'll be able to discuss that a little bit further after I'm done. So what other things that we've been doing has been new official training. We've been doing since essentially November. We've been doing a new official training, and that has been stuff we've been doing on Zoom. It's gone pretty well, and it's been moving in a really good direction. And I'd like to welcome all the new officials here to becoming a brand new official, and we thank you very much for becoming part of our club here, so to speak. We are planning on doing some in-season training, whether it ends up being Zoom meetings, whether it ends up being videos that get sent, whether it happens to be some in-season exams that are, just essentially trying to find out who's kind of making sure that they keep themselves abreast of what's going on, just so that way they understand what's going on with, hey, here are the rules, here are situations, things like that. In a bit, I'm going to be going over my expectations of everybody. But please make sure that your uniforms is all ready to go. Buy some new hats, buy a new whistle, buy a new flag, get yourself prepared. Making sure that you're punctual, making sure that you're ready to communicate with everybody and your partners in schools. We're going to be going over that in a minute. We are always looking for potential new changes to the bylaws. There's been continuous discussions about possibly changing the bylaws. Nothing has been formalized, but that is something that has been discussed multiple times for many, many years. I think that some policies and procedures need to be added into our bylaws. I think that some changes need to be made just to kind of catch up to where we are with the modern times. And things have been discussed, things have not been formalized. Any bylaw changes would have to go into being a vote with the members. So until you see any sort of vote out to everybody, just keep in mind that we are reviewing them. And if you happen to have any requests for a bylaw change, please submit them to the board of directors. Send them to the entire executive board of the board of directors, so that way we can then review them and go over it, the potential bylaw changes. I am trying to potentially either rebirth the postseason gathering and or possibly make our annual rules meeting become a breakfast meeting. Whether it happens to be whether we're able to offer some sandwiches from, whether it be, let's just say, Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, or something like that, and have something there for everybody and make it be a breakfast style meeting. But just something so that way everybody has at least one time that we all meet with each other, and guys from the coast see guys from the upstate. I think it's about time, since COVID is pretty much allegedly a thing of the past. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over the voting process, and then I'm going to go over all of my expectations, pretty much my officiating 101 for the 2023 season. So Ryan will put that up, and as he's putting that up, I'll go over what the voting process is going to be. So voting process, after I'm done speaking, I'm going to give each member who is looking to be an at-large member some time to be able to speak and present themselves, and show what they plan on bringing to the board. Currently, there are 4 people that are running for the at-large position. There are 2 at-large positions that are available. Kirk Rogers and Charlie Bond are 2 of the current at-large members, and they are planning on running. Joey McMillan and David Bates are the 2 other people that are looking to run for the at-large position. So I'm going to give those gentlemen an opportunity to speak. After they're done speaking, we're going to move on to the next section. Voting will not happen today. All right, voting will not happen today because, as I said, everyone has to have their paid dues in to be able to vote. Now, voting is gonna be effective and live for 48 hours, starting on 8 p.m. on Monday. At 8 p.m. on Monday, the email is going to come out. Whether it's going to be through our website or whether it's going to be through a SurveyMonkey, that's up to Ryan. Ryan's going to be putting that out, so that way we can get everyone to be able to vote. When you vote, you're going to be able to vote for two people. All right, the 2 individuals that obtain the most votes are going to end up running for the are going to end up being the people that are put into those at-large positions. Okay, if for some reason we happen to have a tie, we will then have a runoff. But the 2 individuals that have the most votes for the at-large position will be the 2 individuals that will take over the position for the at-large position. The other thing we're going to be discussing, and it's going to be in a vote, is going to be the 2-inch stripes. And that's going to be something that isn't going to be phased in immediately. It's going to be something that's going to, I'm trying to phase in potentially, because that's what a lot of other associations throughout the entire country are doing, is doing the 2-inch stripes. It would be a 2-year time frame. It's not something that's going to happen. Okay, we said yes, we're going to vote it in. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be something that's going to take a little bit of time, and the vote is going to be how we're going to have your input on this. Okay. So if someone has any questions about the 2-inch 2-inch stripe thing, I've seen a couple comments. Does anyone have anything that they wish to speak about as far as the 2-inch stripe potential? Raise your hand and speak up.
Steve, what's the purpose of it?
Just trying to move into where a lot of the other associations throughout the entire country are moving into. A lot of the associations out the country are moving into the 2-inch stripe, and essentially, there's no, I'm just trying to be in line with what other associations have been doing.
Well, why did they go?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it might be something that they're moving into because a lot of lacrosse officials are also football officials. So potentially their jersey serves a dual purpose.
Yeah, in addition to that, this is Tim Swartz. Like I officiate in Georgia, so it would help those like myself who don't have to have 2 jerseys. At some point, my 1-inch is going to need to be replaced. I'd rather not do that if we can move to 2.
I don't know. Lacrosse is the oldest sport in America, and maybe we should be leaders and not followers.
Yeah, what's the benefit for new officials? Are we going to just have them get the 2-inch stripes and not worry about the 1-inch?
No, they're the new officials. It's something that we would all have to incur, and it wouldn't be something that we would have to incur or people would incur until if it happens to be passed. New officials, we all have the privilege of being able to write off our uniform on our taxes anyway. So to be able to say that they have to incur the cost of a jersey, yes, you have the initial outlay for a jersey or whatever equipment that you need to be an official, but that stuff is all tax deductible.
I mean, we're trying to lure younger guys out. A lot of times guys from college, asking them to drop $500 and then the following year to buy new shirts, jackets, and long sleeves. I don't see the benefit of making this move just because, other states do it. Just my opinion.
Okay, that's fine. And everyone should have their ability to put their opinion in. That's why I'm putting it out there. And then as I said, it's not me that's making the decision. It's going to be something that I'm just bringing up to see if it's something that we want to go into. If not, okay, fine. It doesn't one way or the other, whatever you guys want to do. I'm just trying to kind of change things up a little bit and move things in line with what a lot of the other associations are doing. Nothing more than that. There's no, I want to do this or whatever. I'm just putting it out there and see how everybody feels about it. All right. Anyone else have any discussion about the 2-inch stripe? All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the floor to the at-large members. Before I open up the floor to the at-large members and any of the at-large candidates, is what I should say. Is there anyone else who was interested in running for an at-large position? Anyone want to be anyone want to nominate someone for an at-large position? Additional at-large positions going once? Additional at-large positions going twice?
Hey, Steve, just one second.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Nate Sears.
Okay, Nate Sears, you've been nominated. Nate Sears, do you accept the nomination?
Rusty's got jokes.
Technically, I think there needs to be a second on his nomination, but
Right.
All right. Do we have a second on Nate Sears?
I'll second Nate Sears.
Okay. Nate Sears has accepted the nomination. I see that he put it in the chat room. So now we have 5 candidates for 2 positions. So since I'm gonna give Nate a little bit of time to be able to think about what he wants to say, since he was just nominated. Is there anyone else that would wish to be nominated or feels like nominating somebody to be at-large member? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we have 5 members for the at-large position. Okay, we're going to start off with Charlie Bond, is a current at-large member, and he's going to speak first to everyone about himself. Go ahead, Charlie.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Good morning. I appreciate your support running for the board position. Being on the board requires a lot of meeting attendance. It requires a lot of networking with other officials and bringing that back to the board and communicating what's going on out to the members. I've been actively doing that. I've been actively participating in the new official training. I have been officiating lacrosse now for 10 years. I've been to Laredo 3 certified, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Charlie? Questions for Charlie going once? Questions for Charlie going twice? Okay, next up is going to be Kirk Rogers. Kirk, please speak.
Hey, everybody. My name is Kirk Rogers. I have served 1 term as an at-large member. It's been a pleasure doing that. I really enjoy being able to, just add input and serve at the pleasure of the board. I guess my background is I've kind of been involved in all areas of the sport. I played it at NCAA level. I was an NCAA coach for 10 years, last coming at Furman University, which is Division I. Now I am just involved in high school lacrosse. I've stopped coaching, I've stopped playing, I've stopped doing all that stuff and really focused on high school. So, this is kind of my avenue. This is what I'm passionate about. I just finished Laredo 3 this summer, and hoping for the opportunity to continue to serve the state and the Midlands, where I do a majority of my officiating going forward.
Thank you very much, Kirk. Does anyone have any questions for Kirk? Questions for Kirk going once? For Kirk going twice? Okay, Joey McMillan. Joey McMillan, you're up.
Hey, morning, guys. How are you? Everybody able to hear me? So I've been around the game for 18 years now. I grew up in Lexington, South Carolina. Been in South Carolina my whole life, involved with lacrosse. I did Laredo 3 a couple years ago at UNC. I've been officiating. This is my 8th year now. I'm just trying to get a little bit more involved in the process, a little more involved in lacrosse in South Carolina, and assist in being a voice to all the officials up to the levels of the board. I appreciate your support, guys.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Joey? Any questions for Joey going once? Going twice? Okay, David Bates.
Hey, what's up, everybody? A little bit about myself. This is also my 8th year in reffing South Carolina lacrosse. Joey and I started at the same time. This is my 20th year being involved in South Carolina lacrosse, from helping to start up programs at White Knoll. I went on to coach at Irmo, and also I've helped start up Irmo, Chapin, Dutch Fork, River Bluff, and Lexington programs. I've been very involved in developing the youth programs out in Lexington the last couple of years. I currently coach the U8 and U10 team. This will be our first fall season that we'll have a U8 team in Columbia. I'm all about growing the sport. I've watched the sport grow from 3 teams in the state, being Camden Military, Heathwood Hall, and Hilton Head, to what it is today. My interest is helping South Carolina as a whole grow in lacrosse. I've done it in the coaching and player development, and I want to take it to helping the officials grow and doing what we need to recruit more officials. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for David? Questions for David going once? Twice? Okay, Nate. You might need to unmute yourself, Nate. Nate, no one can hear you, Nate, if you're speaking. Nate, you there? Ryan, does he show us muted, Ryan?
Yeah, he shows he's muted. I'm trying to get him to, I'm asking him to unmute on here.
Okay.
He says it's not working.
He's just buying himself some time.
I say we come back to him a little bit later on.
Planning his speech.
All right, Nate, if you're able to get yourself on there, then we'll give you the opportunity at any point to be able to speak to everybody. Before we move on to the next subject, has anyone thought of any questions that they would like to ask any of the nominations, any of the nominees for the position? Is there anything that you guys would like to ask that maybe all of a sudden you thought of? Any questions for any nominee going once? Going twice? Okay, as I said, we're going to give Nate an opportunity once he's able to get on. Then the voting process is going to be done online, and the voting process is going to start on 8 p.m. on Monday. 8 p.m. on Monday. That way we can verify that anyone who is going to vote is going to be a paid member of the chapter. Okay. Ryan, if you could throw up that 2023 season officiating 101 for me, that'd be great.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah, yep.
I have one's a question. Well, they're both questions, I guess. The USA is the official insurance for the officials, right?
USA Lacrosse is the insurance for the officials, along with the NFHS when you're working the high school games as well through the South Carolina High School League.
Right. Okay. And then the other question was, and maybe you and I've spoken to you a little bit about the association giving out a sportsmanship award to programs within each region.
Tom, hold on, Tom.
Yeah.
That's something that will hold off until new business, okay? We're not.
Okay. I thought you were going into, okay, no problem. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right.
Steve,
Ryan,
which you said which PowerPoint did you need right now?
that the PowerPoint that I had, that officiating 101 that you put together. Remember I sent you the that before.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yep, that's it. Just put that up to everybody, and then you know, that way everyone can see what we're discussing.
All right, I'll switch over the share screen.
Thank you very much. I'm not even on. I don't have that on my phone. I don't have. I've got it on my laptop that I'm not logged in. I'm using my phone as the quick question to Rick Jekyll. I'm answering your question. You paid your dues last year. You did not referee. We grandfathered you in. You're A-okay, Rick Jekyll. All right, gentlemen, let's move on to some other things. Officiating 101, things that are expected of you guys, things that we expect of all the officials throughout the entire season. Professionalism. When you guys arrive to the game, making sure that you look right, making sure that you handle yourself and conduct yourself in a professional manner, making sure you answer questions without using vulgarities, making sure that you're all ready to go with all the necessary tools that you need for your game. Conditioning, We are all elder statesmen here. I know I am not in the best possible shape that I need to be in, and I've started getting myself in the condition that I need to be in so that way I can maintain the pace of play that I need for the high school athlete. I am a 51-year-old man that is trying to keep up with 17-year-old children. There is no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. I need to get myself back into some healthier habits, eating a salad as opposed to eating, deep fried food, getting myself in better physical condition, so that way we're able to keep up with what needs to go on, having some proteins, having ourselves drinking plenty of water the day before the game, keeping ourselves so that way we don't get any cramps while we're refereeing the game, making sure we study the rule book, making sure that we know what the rules are. All those, the best thing to do is not necessarily read the rule book verbatim. The best thing to do, in my opinion, and everyone's different, in my opinion, read the ARs. Just constantly keep reading the ARs, because as you read the ARs, that makes you go back into reading the actual rule itself. So when you guys read the rule book, study the rule book, read those ARs. Watching film, there's going to be film that's going to be sent out to you guys. There's going to be film that's going to, for continuing education. There's going to be film that's going to be available on the USA Lacrosse website. Pop on there from time to time. You guys have access to the education process through the USA Lacrosse site, so that way you're able to see videos of things. If you're looking for film of a game that you're doing, if you're looking for film from games that you've done or something like that, ask the school. Call up, and maybe the school doesn't want to give it to you. If you want to try to get some film, ask your assigner to, hey, can you please get me the film from this game? I want to see what happened here or something like that. Communication with each other, communicating before the game. It might be, 24, 48 hours before the game with your partners, communicating with the schools, making sure we know that the site hasn't changed, the time hasn't changed. I definitely suggest that everybody speak to the schools before you go to the game. Find out, maybe for some reason they're playing on a grass field and it rained and now they're moving to another field and they don't notify you. If there's any sort of changes or cancellations, do not accept any rescheduled games from the school. Only accept rescheduled games from your assigner. Tell them, thank you very much. I can do the game, but it needs to go through the proper channels and it needs to go back to the assigner and then reassign through the arbiter system. Do not accept any rescheduled games from the schools, from the AD or coaches. When you are on social media, there is a social media policy up on SCLOA.org. Okay, that's where you're going to find a lot of the information that we need for social media. You are a professional, as I started to say in the beginning here. Act like a professional, even when you're not on the field. Act like a professional when you're participating in social media. Keep any comments that you need to say to yourself. Any comments that you say, everyone is out there. We've had situations in the past where social media has been a negative for our officials, and unfortunately, the official that it's been a negative on is no longer refereeing for whatever reason it is. But he went through a situation that he did not need to go through because things happen through social media. So make sure that you understand your social professional presence out there on social media and limit the amount of interactions that you have to minimal to none. And any comments that you have, they need to be as professional as possible, because not only are those people out there on social media that are going to use that to disadvantage you, but we as a board are also monitoring those social media sites and chat rooms and stuff as well. Next slide. Expectations, pay your dues. We've discussed that already. Pay your dues, inventory your uniform. SCLOA.org has got your uniform policy. Make sure you have your uniforms all nice and clean and neat. Clean shoes, looking really, really good. Attending your meetings. Participating in training. This is our meeting that everyone needs to participate in. This meeting is being recorded. If for some reason you needed to step off, if for some reason you want to re-listen to what's going on, this meeting will be up and published for everyone to be able to go back and review. Just take a look on the SCLOA for any memos, any emails that have been going out, any policies and procedures and things that are going on. Make sure you take the test. Take your exams in a timely manner. As I already said, February 5th is when the exam needs to be done. The NFHS exam needs to be done. I would say as a guide, the USA lacrosse exam needs to be done on or before Memorial Day weekend, because that's when the tournaments are going to start beginning, is sometime around Memorial Day weekend. So make sure you get your NFHS test done before February 5th, and then start looking at getting all of your exams done on the USA Lacrosse website. Spring, summer. All right, arbiter scheduling. So as far as the arbiter schedulings are going to be, it would be great if you could accept your assignments. The winter spring slide there, please. It would be great if you guys could accept your assignments within 24 hours. However, you're going to have 5 days to accept your assignment. If after 5 days comes and goes and you're not able to accept that assignment, accept or decline, that assignment will be removed from your schedule, and we're going to move on to the next person. We can't have these assignments sitting out there for anything longer than 5 days, because essentially that handcuffs the assigners, and it then makes it more difficult to get the games covered in a timely fashion. We are all adults here. We get emails from the arbiter when you get new assignments. We get texts from the arbiter when we get new assignments. 5 days is ample amount of time for you to be able to go in and accept or decline your games. With that being said, everyone needs to go in after this meeting and all the time check and maintain your schedule on the arbiter. People do other sports, people have other things. Whether or not you have birthday parties, you know when birthday parties are coming up. As far as turnbacks, we're just looking for emergencies only. Emergency, there are emergencies, all right? But knowing in advance of events that are going to be happening, go in the arbiter today and block your schedule. Block your schedules and make sure that you are participating in a constructive way to make things easier for the assigners, so that way we can make sure that all the games get covered in a proper way. We are trying to move to three referees throughout the entire season, and we need to know who is and who isn't available, what we can do, what we can't do. The more that you help out and the more that you as an adult maintain your schedule and make things available or unavailable, or accept or decline your assignments, it makes things better for the entire chapter. Please be responsible for your schedule. It is your job. Keep your availability up to date. Put blocks in the arbiter as quickly as you possibly can. Pre-game, referee, you need to contact the home school, confirming game location, time, etc. And we want to make sure we also contact our partners 24, 48 hours before game time, making sure that we know what's going on, okay? Where we're going to meet. Is there a locker room? Is there not a locker room? Is there a space that we're going to be meeting in the parking lot before the game? Are there any things that we need to do? Are we going to be wearing long sleeves? Are we going to be wearing shorts, long pants? The time we're going to be meeting up, the pre-game discussions that we're going to have. You can easily have your pre-game discussions before the game begins. There's no reason why you can't have any pre-game discussions before the game, the day before the game, and get on the phone with each other and have conversations. Nothing saying you can't do that, but make sure that all the things that you can take care of and that you're responsible for before the game begins, correct any errors before the game begins. All right, there are always correctable things that we can make sure that we know what we need to do before the game begins. So make sure you have good communication before the game, which will help you as the game's going on. Okay. Night before the game, game day. Check your bag. Make sure you have everything that you need. Make sure you understand what's going on with traffic. Sometimes, rush hour where you're leaving when after work. You need to get your mindset in the right frame of mind as you're going to the game. You just had a bad day at work or something like that. As you're going to the game, when you get to the game, put that behind you. You can't carry what has happened to you before the game into the lacrosse game and make it affect your thinking, make it affect your judgment when you're refereeing the game. So get your mindset right. If your partners see that you're not quite right, hey, help them out. Get them in the right mindset. Make jokes. Get them so that way they're ready. Get them so that way they're prepared for the game. Help your partners out as much as you possibly can. You are a team out there, and if someone is a little bit mentally off, try to bring them back into the mindset of being able to be ready to referee a lacrosse game. Arrive early. Try to arrive 30 minutes to 1 hour before the game. Being able to check the field, locate the locker room, and all the things. Sometimes fields have different things that need to be corrected when it comes to the lines on the field, when it comes to the location of the soccer goals and stuff like that. Take a look and make sure everything is all done in a proper order, and give yourself ample time to have plenty of time for all your pregame conversations. When you're having pregame conversations, although the referee is going to be leading the conversation, allow everyone to have equal participation, to ask questions. Hey, you know what? I want you to cover what we're going to do at the net. I want you to cover over and back. I want you to cover, a different topic. We're going to cover changes. We're going to cover restarts. Go over the things that we need to go over. Go over any of the new rules. Go over any training videos that you've been sent. Make sure that you guys are all on the same page. All right. Give everyone an opportunity to speak, because everyone's perspective and views can essentially help educate us and make us all be better officials. We absolutely want to be on the field 20 minutes prior to game time. We've got a lot to do that we need to do before the game begins. We need to meet with the coaches. We need to do the coin flip. We need to make sure that we speak to the face-off men, speak to the table, get ourselves stretched out and ready to go. The table people are on our team. The table officials are that. They are officials. They take care of the game clock, penalty clock. They do all the things that we need off the field. Sometimes it's best interest to get their name and ask what their name is and write it on the back of your scorecard. So that way, if you need to call Janie, if you need to call Johnny, you can actually shout out their name and say, hey, Johnny, and they'll be able to then help you out because they'll pay attention to when you call their name. You could be saying table, all right? It's your own technique. There's no right or wrong way, just making sure that you're as efficient as you possibly can. The more time that you've got to spend getting the attention of the table officials, the longer your game's going to go, and time is money. So in your pregame, cover things with the table. Make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you find out there's going to be a national anthem. Make sure you find out they're doing any sort of senior night or any sort of pregame ceremonies or anything like that. All those things, find out from the home coach, find out from the home institution in your phone call to the athletic director before the game. It doesn't necessarily need to be a phone call to the athletic director. It can just be an email and they'll reply back to you. That'll suffice as well. The more times that you cover your own ass about this, whenever there's any sort of issues, you'll have it down. You'll have, hey, I spoke to you about this. How come that has changed? Give yourself and give the chapter opportunities to have bullets in our gun, so to speak, to be able to help and support you as often as we possibly can. That's what we want to do as a board, is we want to be able to help and support you. And the more things that you do to cover your own ass, the better it is and the easier it is for us to be able to take care of helping you out as officials and to help the next official out. What you're doing in your pregame and what you're doing and the way you conduct yourself as a professional throughout the entire day is the way that you're going to help out the next official that comes to that field and it works the next game. All right. Game expectations. We expect focus from the first whistle of the game to the last whistle of the game. It actually should be before the game begins. Your professionalism and the way that you're conducting yourself and speaking with the coaches and knowing the rules when they have questions begins right then and there. When that whistle begins, we're focused on what needs to happen all the way to that last whistle and everything that's going to be going on in between. Your communication with your partners, the players, the coaches on the table, your verbal and nonverbal communication, the communication that you have when you're running in dead ball situations, knowing when to run, knowing when you don't need, knowing your communication and moving to your position before play begins is the proper communication to your partner. Hey, you know what? My partner is on point. He is going to where he needs to be. I'm not communicating that. I need to be on point. I need to put forth that same effort that my partner is putting forth. My partner is making things easier for me, so I need to make things easier for my partner in the way that I move, in the way that I hustle, in the way that I do things and conduct myself throughout the game. My signals are big. My signals are in a way so that way everyone understands them. I'm able to verbally speak to my partner in a way that is understandable, to the table that's understandable, and I'm making sure that we're doing all the things that we're able to do so that way we can conduct the game in a proper and effective and efficient manner. We want to support one another, okay? When we have questions that come from the coaches while the game's going on, and the coach is asking, hey, what happened here? Why did he make that call? Sir, I will be able to discuss that with him, and I'll go over and I'll get you an answer, or I'll have my partner come over with you during in between quarters or something like that. But make sure that we're supporting each other and we're not throwing anybody under the bus. We are there as a team. As soon as things get out there that you're being negative and pointing the fingers at your partners, that now ruins the camaraderie, that now ruins the efficiency, that now ruins what we're trying to do and working together as a team. So make sure that you are always working together and supporting each other, and make sure that we are working as a team. Crew consistency throughout the entire game. All right. This is what you're going to understand, your consistency in your pregame. You're going to discuss what's going to go on. But keep in mind, a cross check is a cross check in the first quarter, a cross check is a cross check in the fourth quarter. Whatever level you set, and that's up to you, whatever level you set is the level that you're going to stay at throughout the entire game. Wherever you are is where you're going to stay throughout the entire game. Making sure that we are, when it comes to consistency, also the consistency in the way that you're going to be making your calls and relaying your calls. You're not going to be fast with your calls. You're not going to be slow with your calls. We have blue 5/1 minute. All right, we're going to try to make sure that we're moving things in a nice tone, tempo, pace, and our consistency with our calls, with what we're saying, how we're saying it, and the way that we're moving through the game in not only our dead ball officiating, but being consistent in the way that we communicate with the players. We're not raising our voice. We are the professionals, and we definitely maintain our composure. The more that we communicate to the coaches, and what I like to do is whenever the coaches have concerns, and I can see that coaches are getting a little bit excitable, I try to use the word we. Coach, we need to maintain our composure. We need to this, we need to that. I try to show an empathy to the coach and let him think that I understand his plight and I feel for him. You know, just as much as we don't like having players when they say you suck, you do this, the coaches don't like the word you. So let's try to include the coaches and ourselves in their plight, in their efforts trying to be competitive in the game. Understand that a lot of it is just competitiveness. It's nothing personal. Use inclusion in what you're doing when it comes to communication with players and with the coaches. If you make a bad call, miss a call or whatever, that's fine. Own it. Let's move on. Let's make sure that we are human and mistakes and things are going to happen. So do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that things get corrected. If you, for some reason, see that the ball is restarting in the proper spot, your partner's getting the restart play, blow your whistle a couple times. Make sure that the ball starts where it's supposed to start. Make sure that the offensive team never starts the ball inside the offensive box. Make sure that after a penalty, the ball always starts across, in the situation where there's a penalty, and it has to start over at the center X, that it starts at the center X. Make sure our restarts, no one is restarting within 5 yards of the table. Let's make sure that we move people where we need to move them. If for some reason, there is a call that happens to get made. As I said, no one here has ever refereed a perfect game. So, and sometimes those bad calls, those missed calls, no one really recognizes them sometimes, other than you and your partner. There are times where newer officials, especially, and sometimes officials with less than 3 years experience, they'll throw their flags on a loose ball push. You know what? That's a mistake that I would say every single official has made in their career. It happens. It's not that big of a deal. Let's just pick the flag up, let's address it, and let's move on and get the game moving. So hopefully this is going to be a real good season for everybody. We'll move on to post game. When the game's done, all right, grab your stuff. If you left the jacket or whatever or something like that, grab your stuff and hustle off the field. Get out to the car. Get out to your car. If you need to stretch out a little bit, stretch out a little bit. We're all, as I said, we're all old, even if it means stretching while you're untying your shoes or something like that. You might need to have a discussion with your partners. If you need to have a discussion with your partners and you think it might be a situation where you could get involved with parents or something like that, make sure that you just go somewhere else. Go meet down the road or something like that. One of the things that we want to also make sure of this season is making sure that the school provides you an escort to and from the game. All right. We do not want to have any interaction with parents after the game. We want to just move on and move to where we're supposed to be and avoid any of those situations. If there is a situation that you have, all right, be quiet. Don't speak back. If you do not have an escort after the game, if you come up into a situation where things get a little bit heated while you're leaving the game, report that to your assigner. We will then take care of it. But if you interact with the parents, if you interact with the fans after the game in a negative way, it makes it difficult for us to be able to help you. The more that you have someone there, and you need to have someone there from the school, it is their obligation to be able to provide someone to us for you to get escorted to and from the field. If you interact negatively to anyone, any of the fans after the game, then that makes it harder for us to be able to help you out when we have discussions with the school about these situations. You are trying to help out the next guy. The next guy might even be you, all right? But we are trying to make sure that we keep things in an orderly fashion and trying to maintain whatever we possibly can. And the tools that you guys provide us are your silence. Just keeping to yourself and not making comments to anybody. Reporting it to your assigners. That way your assigners can then address it with the South Carolina High School League, and the South Carolina High School League will then address it with the schools. All right? Those situations don't involve you as an officials to be the judge, jury, and executioner. We need to follow the proper pecking order and make sure that we maintain composure of the players, coaches, and spectators, and especially ourselves when the games are going on. You then are going to, if you have these situations, report it in a game report within 24 hours. These teams sometimes have another game, so let's make sure that we get those reports in. If you have a situation happens at the school, You might want to call your assigner right after the game. Leave him a message. Get those things done and get those reports in so that way we can make sure that we take care of whatever we want to take care of. When you're giving your reports, make sure that your reports are just about the specifics of what happened and why you're making your report. We do not need your opinion. Your opinion about this, we need to know what happened. We need to know what rule you used, and you need to know what was the ruling that you made. Okay, so X person punched another person. We have fighting. This is the rule reference, and that's it. This is the end of my report. So when you're putting your report into the system, please make sure that your report is clear and concise. Make sure that your report is understandable, and do not include your opinion. This guy I thought was doing this, or be very specific and stick to the facts when you're providing your report. And then rinse and repeat, guys. Each and every single game throughout the entire season, rinse and repeat. Get yourself going. We should have a very good season if everybody is communicating, if everybody is maintaining their composure, if everybody is doing what they need to do and keeping themselves professional. We can keep this a very good and orderly season throughout the entire season. That is my president's report. Does anyone have any questions of me for the president's report at all, in any way, shape, or form? Guys, thank Kirk and Rusty.
Steve, we have a hand raised.
Yeah, Tom's got a question.
Tom,
All right.
Coach Gill.
Listen, I've been officiating a long time, and it's getting worse and worse out there. And I've been coaching for a long time. If spectators or coaches are giving anybody issues, okay, and it's not dealt with, leave the field. Leave as a group and just leave. You don't have to stand there taking any crap from people. Just leave and then file your reports as needed.
So I will kind of put an asterisk on that. What I would say is that if there is not a site manager, okay, as they're supposed to be according to the South Carolina High School League, the rules say that the head coach, is supposed to step in and be your site manager. That's what's in the rule book, guys. Use the rules to your advantage. Here's my suggestion of what you can do before you do anything as excessive as leaving the field. Pull the teams over to their sideline. Speak to the coach and just sit at the table and let the coach address whatever he needs to address. Have both teams be at their respective benches and let the situation be handled by the coach or the site manager, so that way everything is handled in an orderly fashion. To jump to 10 and walk off the field is not the best decision to make. Let that be the decision that happens after you've gone through and done other methods to try to help maintain composure and order out there on the field. All right, use the tools to your advantage. Use the coaches. It is their obligation, according to the rules, to help you conduct an orderly fashion game. Okay, that's the way we need to handle it. Is go through all different steps first. Don't jump up to 10 right away, and find out when you get there who your site manager is. If there is no site manager, confirm that the site manager is going to be the head coach. Even if he says, no, that's not me, you say, coach, there is no other site manager here. The rules say it is you. You are my site manager. It's in the rules. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So make sure that you know who that site manager is and use those site managers to your advantage, and make sure that we keep things under control.
Steve, we also have another hand raised from David.
Okay.
Hey guys, if the fans are not cussing, threatening, or talking to the opposing team, we shouldn't be listening to anything they have to say anyway. For them to say we suck, we have to deal with that. That's part of being an official. So I'd say, as long as there's no threat, cussing, or talking to other players on the other team, we gotta just, put our ears down and not acknowledge that type of stuff.
That's called rabbit ears, guys. That's called rabbit ears. I mean, obviously, we don't want to have anything, personal being said to you. That takes it to a whole other level. And that'll be up to you as far as where you're going to be. But I don't think I've ever refereed a game that I haven't been told, no matter what the sport is, that I suck. So, me personally, that word means absolutely nothing. Yeah, that word means it means nothing. I expect it for every single game. David's right. But there does become a level where things have to be handled properly, and everyone's level about that is potentially going to be different. But interaction of fans towards players is inappropriate, especially if they're interacting with the other players of the other team. So make sure that you're able to address those situations and use the tools to your advantage. The coaches, the site managers, use those tools to your advantage.
Hey, Steve, Bill Sosha, how are you?
I'm right, Bill.
Look, we all know there is never a site manager. It's very rare. And, Tom brings up a very good point. We've all been involved in this sport a long time, and it is getting worse and worse by the week. And eventually, the only time something's going to be done is when one of us gets hit. So you can walk away and you can not pay attention and just laugh it off and just walk out. But, has the board gone to the coach association and say, look, this is it. We're not, there's going to be more ejections this year because we're not putting up with this. That's the only really fight back we have, because, the reason why people are leaving, this sport is because of this. We don't do it because of the pay. We do it because we enjoy the game. But it's getting to a point where people are just fed up with it. And unless we as an association attack this, more people are going to leave. That's just my 2 cents. So.
Yeah. So here's what I have done, and spoken to Charlie Wensky from the South Carolina High School League. You are familiar with the New Jersey Youth Hockey, the New Jersey Interscholastic Association. They have a code of conduct that you need to read to each and every single member of every single team before every single game, and or have it read aloud, over the PA system. And there is a code of conduct that gets read at every single sporting event in New Jersey. And I'm here right now in New Jersey. And I have a card that I have to read to the players of the hockey teams, and or there's a PA announcer that reads the code of conduct. So that way it is put out there before each and every single game. And I presented that to Charlie, and I presented that to the high school league. And as of yet, I have yet to hear whether or not that's something that they may or may not adopt, because I'm assuming that it takes it to a level that is beyond just lacrosse. It is something that they would have to adopt into their guidebook, whether or not it's something that they plan to do or not. But we have spoken to them about the code of conduct of the players, of the parents, more so of the parents than it is of the players and coaches. So the onus has been put to them, and whether or not they're able to fulfill that, or whether or not they're going to be able to do anything with what I've presented to them, is going to be up to them. Hopefully something is able to happen and get adopted in their guidebook. But it is something that is above as a chapter, our pay grade.
We have a couple more hands. Joey?
Hey guys, yeah. So just piggybacking on what Steve said, if we use our tools that we have in the rule book, I know from being a coach, and I'm sure anybody else's coach can attest to this, it's in the bylaws from the high school league. There should be a field administrator present at all sporting events, at least one for multiple sporting events on site. So if we're going through our process and we are doing what we need to do, we're talking to the coach first, letting him address it, penalizing the coach as need be, walking that up the ladder, and then we get to the point where we have to ask for a field administrator, and they don't show up, that's something we put in the game report that then goes back to the high school league. So that is our avenue of making sure we communicate to the high school league, like, look, this is getting worse. We need to address this. We need to do it that way, because otherwise they're gonna be like, well, did you call for a field administrator? That's the first question they're gonna ask. So we need to make sure we follow what we're supposed to do in the rule book and what we're supposed to do for that. And then picking back on Dave, making sure we're not doing that immediately, making sure we're going through the ladder of communicating to coaches, addressing it with a conduct. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're calm and collected on the field and you suspend play and you just stand there and they hear you communicate to the coach that we're not going on until these fans get it under control, they become the assholes and the loud ones when everyone else is calm on the field and just wants to play. And that a lot of times will back them off and quell that situation before it gets to the point where you have to call for a field administrator. So that's all I'm saying is from my experience doing that, if you follow those steps and those procedures, it handles itself usually before it gets to that point. So
Steve, Steve,
Yes.
yeah. The only thing I could say is we should put more pressure on the coaching staffs to educate their players as educators, get them familiar with the rules, let them know what's required. I speak to my players every day about their conduct on the field with officials and other players and what is tolerated, what will never be tolerated. I think the coaches as educators, and not only coaches, should be required to teach this and coach this to the players, bring the players to the next level. And if the players are calm on the field, they know the rules, they know what they can not do. That'll transpire over parents. You know, the first thing the coaches have to do is maintain calm with the players on the field, and they have to teach them the rules. So we need to put more pressure on coaching staffs to educate, not only coach.
Hey, Steve, this is Tom Gill again. I'm sorry for cutting in, Mike. I think I raised my hand, but there's two things. Number one, why aren't the coaching staffs responsible for taking the rule book as they are in a lot of other regions? That's number one. Number two, the coaches don't know the rules. We had guys yelling last year that guys are out of the box on a face-off, and all you have to do is behind the restraining line. You don't have to be inside the box. They don't even know the rules themselves. So the coaching staffs need to be up to date, especially in certain areas. You got Joe Schmo off the street who owns a construction company who's trying to coach a team, and they're teaching it. Well, that's the way I was taught it 35 years ago, and things have changed. So you need to put more emphasis on the responsibility of the coaching staffs, and they should have to take the exam.
All right, so to answer both of your questions in one simple term, there is a revolving door of coaches throughout the entire state of South Carolina, and there are too many times that there are brand new coaches, and being able to get accustomed to a coach's tone and temperament and stuff like that. We need we can do whatever we can, and we can offer our services as the assigners do to each and every single school that they assign for, if they wish to have us come and be present to go over the rules, to go over the code of conduct and stuff like that. I have been refereeing in South Carolina since essentially 2009. And only one time in my entire life that I put myself out there to have people ask me to come over to their practices before the game, to go over the rules, has it happened in the entire time. So, you know, the coaches are not always as inviting to allowing us to be able to help them in these efforts. So we're going to try to move things along. I think it was Charlie, right? You had something real quick.
Yep. I just want to chime in here before we move along. A couple things. We have resources in the rule book that we can take coaches up the ladder when the coaches are out of control. Also remember that assistant coaches are not allowed to talk to us. They are there to assist the coach in coaching. So we need to remember that. Second thing, the high school league has in place that if a coach is ejected, it is a pretty hefty fine that the coach must pay before they're allowed to come back. Most school districts also have a code of conduct that they enforce with their schools. Last point I want to make, if you've got a school that you don't want to work at and you have a problem with, use your arbiter to block that school. So if you know that this school has fans that are out of control and you don't like going there and you don't like working with that coach, use your block.
Okay,
Thank you.
Kirk, did somebody else have their hand raised so we can continue?
Yes, Jack had his hand raised for a while. So Jack,
Well, real quick, guys. I mean, first of all, you got to understand, it just keeps bringing up a lot of things. Lacrosse, at least down here on the coast, is what, 8 or 9 years old? I wouldn't expect anybody to know the rules because, you know, I like Steve and Rich, we grew up in New Jersey. Some of these guys they've been looking at schools have been around for 35, 40 years. And I watched sport evolve. Coaches will come along and they'll find words for these coaches. And eventually the coaching will catch up with the rules. But as far as you keep talking about the issues with the schools. I think a lot of this problem derives from the athletic directors. I don't think they communicate well with their coaches. They kind of just throw them out there. And I'm always under the impression that South Carolina, if it ain't football, they don't care. And, and these guys are out there and they're just for a while. So maybe, and I'll cut this short because I know you have a lot of things to go. Someone should do the athletic directors get together with their principals, or is there a way you can have a Zoom meeting with them and talk to them about the issues? And I'll leave it at that.
All right, well, they do go over, there is a coaches meeting that happens in South Carolina High School League and the athletic directors. Listen, there is not an athletic director that wants to handle any of these issues. All right, they would much rather have their teams be managed properly, maintain their composure, have their parents maintain their composure and stuff like that. Nobody wants extra work, just like we don't want the extra work. Nobody wants the extra work. And essentially they are working themselves, ADs and schools are working towards bringing that under control. So it is an issue, but it isn't something that isn't going, it's not going to be going away anytime soon, but it is something that is being worked on. So Rome wasn't built in a day. And we are definitely moving in a really positive direction in getting this taken care of. So are there any other questions, Kirk, or no?
I think Tom's the only one with his hand up right now.
I fall.
All right. So before I move on, I'm done with my president's report. Before I move on, Nate, are you able to speak if you want to speak to everyone being an at-large nominee? Do you have that access yet, Nate?
He typed his response in the chat because he was not able to get his microphone. So if you scroll back up quite a bit, he's got his response in there.
Okay. So if anyone wants to hear from Nate, scroll back into whatever, scroll back into the link. So that way you can see what Nate has to say.
And Bailey just updated it in the chat. Bailey just copied and pasted it.
Okay, perfect.
Steve, I put a question for you in the chat.
Okay. What was that?
What are the current membership numbers and how has that changed from last year?
The only thing, I don't know what the current numbers are. I do know that there are 92 people that get an email from the arbiter. It could be a lot of repeat email addresses and stuff like that. It could be some, people have multiple emails accounts registered with them on the arbiter and stuff like that. At the last number that I recall there being, we were somewhere in and around 50 last year. I don't know whether or not Mark kind of had an idea and knew how many people there were and stuff like that. But I will be able to obtain that number for you. But if we pretty much use 50 as where we're at right about now, a little more, a little less, that's kind of where we are right about now. All right. If nobody else has anything else, I am done with my president's report, and I am going to go to Thomas Gregg, and he's going to have his past president's report. Take it, Tom.
Tom, before you start, we did have one hand raised by Jack.
What was that, Kirk?
Yep, it's me again. Why don't we, for all intents and purposes, if somebody could read Nate's statement into the record? I mean,
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we do this? We'll take Nate's statement, we'll email it out through Arbiter. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, and then that way everybody will get it. And then Nate, if you want to make an edit to that, you can revise your statement, email it to me, and I'll send it out through Arbiter. Wow, there's a lot of information there. That was good stuff. I particularly like the thing about we, Steve. You know, there's nothing worse than to get confrontational, right? By saying you need to do this and you need to do that, but you bring them in as a we statement. That's good stuff. I can kind of give you a little bit more information with regard to numbers. Most of the games in South Carolina are covered by less than 60 officials per year. So Steve's pretty close. The 92 is about what we carry in Arbiter as far as officials go, but there are some people that are inactive in there, and there's also some non-officials that are in there that get access to it, whether they be timekeepers or you know, they get listed as fourth officials. So there are some people that aren't members of the SCLOA that are actually sitting in there, and the assigners are actively going through this year, actually right now, calling out people that haven't worked. So, but yeah, typically all the games get covered by, you know, under 60 officials in the state. What else was there? So I think Steve missed this, but our rates went up with the South Carolina High School League. So I think varsity games now are 75 with a minimum of 11 in travel. So typically what it was before is you'd get a minimum of 69, even if you went across the street. The game fee was 70, you'd get $9. And you get $9 in travel for travel under 20 miles. And then you get a mileage fee anything over 20 miles, and that has gone up from 45 cents to 55 cents this year. Game fees have gone up from 70 to 75 for varsity, from 50 to 54, I believe, for JV, which is good news. We'll always take a increase in pay. The assigner sent out a letter to all the ADs and head coaches, or at least the contacts that we had. And we listed 3 points of emphasis on there. One was to basically kind of manage their start times better. The South Carolina High School League has recommended a 2-hour window in between JV and varsity games. Some schools can do an 1.5-hour window, no problem. Others have a difficult time doing it. It's going to be left up to them. That's a suggestion, not a requirement. The South Carolina High School League also understands that the issue that we were talking about raucous fans and issues with coaches. You know, the first thing they're going to say is, you know, did you use, just like everybody else was saying, did you use the tools in your toolboxes? Did you, you know, did you flag the coach? Did you flag the staff member? You know, that's got to be a united front. And, you know, I'm not defending their actions here, but there's a lot of inconsistency on how we call games and what our tolerance is. Everybody has a different tolerance level, and you know that's kind of part of the reason why the inconsistency is there. They're getting better in having administrators on site. I know right now that both Wando and Lucy Beckham, you always meet with somebody there. That AD's almost always hanging around there. Beckham actually will escort you to and from the field once he realizes that you're on site. That's not how it is across the entire state, but some of these schools are getting better with that, and but yes, I believe that is a requirement with the South Carolina High School League. Let's see, what was the other one? Sorry, I'm bouncing around here. So we're changing to this 5-day window to accept your games. We typically release games in batches of well, there's 3 kind of releases that we have: an early release, a release that happens shortly after that first release, and then a mid-year release. We'll be using auto assign to do at least the first placements of officials, and then the regional officials will go in and make corrections if they need to. So make sure that your blocks are up to date. And if there's certain days that you can't work, make sure that those are filled in. Or if you have a vacation coming up, make sure that's filled in, because essentially what you're going to be doing is, if you forget about that and you get assigned a game, you're just losing that game off your game counts. We're not going to have a mechanism of, oh, well, you missed this one, we'll make one up to you later. That doesn't mean that if somebody drops a game, you won't be stuck in that. But we're kind of putting the onus on the officials to make sure that they have updated schedules, and those are correct, and that they accept the games that are assigned to them. Duties of the regional signers will be to review those releases that auto assign does. It doesn't do a very good job all the time, so there does have to be some manipulation in there, but we will try to match up the appropriate individuals with the level of play that we think that they should be working, and also try to get counts as even as we can across all officials. Steve, and then I'm kind of like the head assigner for the whole state. Typically, if there's issues with the other assigners, and especially with Arbiter, they'll reach out to me. Most of the issues I can resolve on my own. There's very little with our Arbiter group. There's very little interaction with the South Carolina High School League. So when you do fill out a game report, and we haven't done a very good job of doing that as referees in the past, and that may not be your fault. But when you do fill out a game report, you have a section in there that you can add into the notes section. The South Carolina High School League will never see that. The only people that are going to view that are going to be the regional assigners. And so if you have something that's very pressing, like there's a violation with the field, something that you want to be sure that is communicated to your assigner, that needs to be put into an email and sent to your assigner. And if you would CC me on that too. So if it's going to Ryan in the Midlands or Mitch in the Upstate, please throw me on that too, so I get a copy of that also. Let's see. If you do have, so I'm not sure. So the South Carolina League, the High School League, is going to say use the tools in your toolbox. If you do have to eject somebody, you'll have to go to the South Carolina High School League website, and under the officials tab, click the lacrosse. Click their lacrosse sub tab, and one of the first things you're going to see there as you come to as that page populates, to the right hand side, there's going to be officials ejection report, and you basically just fill that out. Get the name of the kid if you can, mark that you are an official. The school who has the player ejected or the coach ejected, that AD has to file a report with the South Carolina High School League. They will, most of these contests now are videotaped. They will, if they have it and they think it's going to benefit them, they will upload video to it. All your job is, as an official, is to report the facts, as Steve said. Don't get into interpretation, or the kid looked at me and I thought he was going to do this, or I thought I heard him say that. just stick to the facts. You know, he MF'd me and then, you know, threw my flag in my face. Or, you know, the coach was told multiple times that he needed to, you know, keep his composure. And that's when he, you know, picked up the cone and chucked it across the field or whatever it is. Just stick to the facts. That's what they want to know. If they need more information, I'll reach out to you and get it. If you do not see, if you are assigned a referee and you do not see a little R populate within 24 hours of the game that you're going to accept, or after you've called that game, email me and let me know. There's probably a setting on there that you don't have that needs to be adjusted for you if you're acting as a referee, and I can fix that for you. The information that needs to be conveyed isn't, you know, is stuff that's of, you know, some gravity, not that, oh, it was a great game, hard fought game, great game, you know, everything went fine. That's not what we need in those notes down there. If the game went fine, leave that blank. Once you report the score, a little green thing will pop up, and or I think your R will turn green, and then we know everything is good to go. If you write something in there, it's going to turn that R into a yellow. And when we do peruse those, you know, there's I don't need to click that report and then say, oh, great game, you know, really enjoyed it. That's not the kind of information. I'm glad you did enjoy the game, but that's not the kind of information that we need in that in those notes sections. Let's see if there's something else there. Oh, Scott, I addressed Scott Bauer's question that he put into the chat. If you know that there's an issue with the information that's showing up on Arbiter, some of those schools do have access to that and some of them don't. If they're playing at a different site, let me know and I can change that in Arbiter. I can add a site and then I can change that for their local site. If you know that the head coach is wrong when you go in there and see it, let me know. They do not do a very good job of communicating that with them. Sorry, I jumped off of what I was going to say earlier. We communicated to the assigners communicated to the schools that, you know, points of emphasis that we're working on or looking at this year clearly are, you know, the start times. We're going to try to assign more 3-man crews when we can. And this is an important one, field marking. So it was a point that was brought up in the Federation rulebook. We're making a point of emphasis now, and we talked to the high school league about this. There's pretty much we had some issues last year down here in the Low Country, and I know that there's been some issues across the state. If they don't have a properly lined field, that's got to be communicated back to the assigners early on in the season. And the assigners are going to send that information to the South Carolina High School League, and the South Carolina High School League is going to remind those schools that they need to have their fields properly marked. If they do not, then, you know, we're going to go with the violation and turning the ball over at the beginning of the game. This is something that we spoke directly with Charlie about. It's in the Federation rulebook. He wants it enforced. So that's what we're going to do. It's coming down from on high from them. We can very easily pass that on to the South Carolina High School League. Say, coach, this is what they want enforced. If you have a problem with it, talk to the South Carolina High School League. And they've been notified in the preseason assigning letter. So it's not like this is something that's come out of the blue.
Hey, Thomas, we had a hand raised. Coach Gill.
Second here. Tom, you want that there is you want to just mention the universal field, the combination of both the boys and the girls, because I know a number of institutions are going to that. right now,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a few schools that actually have their field line like that. That's completely legal. It's in the rule book. You just got to deal with it. You're going to have a little bit longer run in between restraining line to restraining line. But yeah, that's perfectly fine. There, that's legit. What, Tom, specifically what I'm talking about is, the issues that we see in South Carolina are, not a continuous midfield line.
Okay,
So,
all right.
they have a lot of
Okay.
big emblems. They haven't, like,
Right.
Wando High School didn't want to do it. I know that Beaufort High School was complaining about it. They don't want to lay washable paint down on their nice big emblem across the 50.
Yeah, right. Just use
right.
line.
Yeah.
Or
Some
chalk.
of these, yeah. Line,
Okay.
right.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure people were aware of that.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing that because you got me on a point here. Some of the there was some dash lines too, like on the end line, and then some of the teams are even forgetting to run the box lines down in their in the offense defense box, the side alley lines there. So if you go out and see it in your scrimmages, make a point to remind the head coach that that his field isn't up to snuff, and that they need to get it up to snuff. That this is a point of emphasis from the South Carolina High School League, that and it's pretty much a zero tolerance. With regard to that, like coaches helping you out and everything, the rule reference, just so you guys know, is 323, with coaches having to help with crowds and unruly fans and that, and it's coaches, it's not the home team head coach. So if the visiting team has a bunch of raucous fans there, they need to he's responsible, or he's required to help you get those fans under control. Is there anything else? Are there any questions?
Hey, guys, well, what we're gonna do, just so that way everyone knows how to fill out reports properly and stuff, myself, Ryan, Tom, and the other assigners are gonna put together some fictitious reports that we're then gonna, send in an email and have posted on the South Carolina High School League site, just so that way how it's supposed to look, how it's properly supposed to look, and just help you guys out with that tool. So be on the lookout for fictitious reports, whether it be arbiter report or whether it be a DQ form for the South Carolina High School League, and that way you'll be able to see how to properly fill those forms out.
I mean, we could. Hey, Ryan, you could go to the South Carolina High School League site right now and get a copy of the report. Can you pull, or is that, can you pull down the presentation and go to?
Later on. We could do that a little bit later on. I just kind of want to get everything done, and if we are able to do that in, let's say, after all the reports, then we'll do that and have Ryan go ahead and do that, and we'll pull up and create a fictitious report for everybody to see us fill out.
Okay.
There,
but the big thing is communicate the stuff that that's going on, like whether or not the information is incorrect in arbiter, whether you had certainly you have an ejection, that's got to be sent to your assigner, and then it's on you to fill that out on the South Carolina High School League website. But keep your assigner in the loop on that. If you have or want communication with the high school league, please go through the first channel would be to go through your assigner. He can transmit that information, or whether it's a question or a complaint to the high school league. Will probably get a better response or a quicker response than you will. If you're not satisfied with that, then you can be looped into the conversation and share your thoughts directly with the high school league. But the first round, they want us to I don't want to say filter, but they want to kind of hear from us first, and then they'll be more than happy to entertain the individual official if they think they need to. Are there any questions? Okay, great. Have a good season, guys. Good luck.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate it. Next is Pat English and his VP report.
Hey, thanks, Steve. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna start off with I am on shift today at the firehouse. So if you hear the tones drop, I might have to get up and bounce out really quickly because I am driving. Steve or one of the other board members will take over my report. So if that happens, I apologize in advance. Just bear with me a little bit on that, please. So talk about points of emphasis for this year coming up, guys. So I want us all across the state, every single region, kind of be on the same page. Some of these aren't new, we've kind of hit on them before, so it shouldn't be anything crazy, but I-Black, coaches on the field, high hits, mouth guards, and penalty reporting. The way I'm going to do this is going to go through each point. After each point I make, you guys got questions, let me know and we'll go through it, all right? So we can go to I-Black for the start. So across the state, we just need to, everybody just got to get on the same page. Some guys are painting crazy designs on their faces and then they play a different region, then they're like, oh, well, our officials let us do this. And that could be the kids being, a bunch of bullshit. It could not, who knows? But, what I do personally, and it seems to work, when I send a pregame email a day or two in advance to that home team coach, I CC both coaches. I just simply remind them about the rule on I-Black stating that it's only a single stripe under each eye. And then when I get to the field, if I see the kids with war paint or anything besides that single stripe, I have them just at least make an attempt to get rid of it, clean it up a little bit. You make an attempt, okay, cool for me. That works. As the season progresses, though, and you've had these kids 4 or 5 times, then, they still do the war paint and you've warned them several times already each game. Simple as wait until they have the possession, bang them for an illegal procedure, take the ball away. Teach them a lesson, guys. Start off early with this, early in the year. That way, when it comes down to the playoff time, you're not, playing catch up with this. That makes sense to everybody? Anybody got anything they want to say about I-Black or any other issues with it? So cool. Next one. So coaches on the field, guys, this is big pet peeve of mine. Too many times I've seen games and it looks like the coaches are going to be joining the crew in the huddle when they're so far on the field. Get in the habit of pushing them back early. Coaches love to abuse this privilege of not being able to come on the field during timeouts. Push them back. Per rule book, you're only allowed on the field to warm up a goalie, tend to an injured player at halftime. Just keep it simple, guys. Easy. Coach, back off the field. Coach, back up when they have a timeout. They shouldn't be having their whole team meeting on the field. Have that on the sideline. If they're a foot on the field, okay, not a big deal. When they're at the hash mark on the restraining line, that's a problem, guys. Just keep pushing them back. High hits, guys. This isn't anything crazy new. We've been talking about high hits for at least 5 years now. Just it's as easy as don't be afraid to throw a 2-3 minute non-releasable penalty if the hit warrants it. Don't be afraid to eject someone if the hit is that bad. If it's a malicious hit and you got to eject them, do it. We'll have your back if it's deserved. You call them from the beginning of the year, then you don't put yourself in a bind come playoff time. Someone gets blindsided off a buddy pass in the throat, and you're like, oh, well, that's never been called all year. You start calling it from game one, they can't bitch about it in the playoff time. No, and they won't happen. Just proactively officiate with this stuff. Mouth guards, look, guys, I get it. Nobody wants to be that official that bangs a team for a mouthpiece violation. It's a pain in the ass. It's like the I-Black. I get it. I don't want to be that guy either. But if you set the tone early in the season with it, it's not going to come back and bite you in the ass. You start calling them from the first game of the year. Wait till the team that has the ball, bang on my mouthpiece violation, so it's a change of possession versus a time served technical, and then you're good. Don't wait until the fourth quarter, a tie game in the state semifinals, decide, hey, I'm going to call a mouthpiece violation today. It's all about proactively officiating, guys. You do it from game one, day one, first quarter, they're going to learn. They're going to see you. Oh, shit. That's the ref that calls mouthpiece violations. I better have my shit together. Simple, guys. Okay. Yes,
Pat, can I make a quick comment on that?
please.
This is, the mouthpiece situation is is a major issue, and it starts from the top. You see football games on TV right now at the college level, guys aren't wearing their mouthpieces. Last year, I was the NCAA site rep for Yale St. Joe's, and the producers of the game came right out and told the officials, please don't call a lot of mouthpiece penalties because that's a 30-minute delay and we're on a time schedule. So now when they see the kids at that level playing, it's just a thing. You just got to make sure you tell them that it's a safe. It's like putting a seatbelt on. You got to wear it.
So I get it. The rules kind of differentiate between college and high school, and these kids all look up to these guys at Duke, UVA, etc. So I get it. They see, oh, Paul Rabel doesn't wear a mouthpiece. I'm not going to wear a mouthpiece. Paul Rabel does war paint. I'm going to do it. But again, we have different rules to follow. That's what I'm saying. If you get in the habit of banging them on it in the first game of the year throughout the season, they're going to learn their lesson. So you don't have to do that shit in state semifinals. Like I said, it's all about being a proactive official. Getting back to what I got through, penalty reporting. All right, guys, stop reporting your penalties in the box. Like, don't go into the penalty box and report a penalty. That's just asking for trouble. Stand on your wing line, set your feet, and make your call with your proper signals. Don't rush it. Don't walk through it. Set your feet. Go into the box, report a penalty. You're asking for the coaches just to crawl up your ass. They're going to do it every time because you're right there. It's literally inviting them right there to you. Being on the wing line will make them come onto the field if they need to argue it. And by coming onto the field, they're making it easy if you need to hit them with a conduct foul or an unsportsmanlike conduct. They're breaking the rules right there. If they want to argue a call, cool, but they have no right to step on that field and start yelling and bitching at you. So that makes the entire stadium see that coach is wrong. It's literally a gimme call for you. So it's just like, hey, thanks, coach. You just made my job really easy. Real basic, guys. Just stay on the wing line. Don't go into the box. Stay out of trouble. All right, guys, we're going to go over some rules changes quick. You all should be vaguely familiar with them at least. It's nothing crazy this year, thankfully. We already talked about the marked center line, so we don't need to go over that again. So instead of the boxes being 10 yards, they're now 5 yards. Coaches areas on either side of the table, and those are 20 yards parallel instead of 15 now. So cross of the head, it's just got to be made. The pocket net's got to be head the sidewalls. No holes or gaps larger than 1.68 inches in diameter, which is the size of a golf ball, apparently. Rationale is there's an increased use of a string technique, which allows for trapping the ball, where the stick will pass a stick check, but the force applied stretches the mesh to entrap the ball. So again, just look for holes and gaps in the head when you're doing a stick check, no larger than a golf ball. Nothing crazy there. Guys, no protrusions or sharp edges on these heads. I know that I think it's gate makes a head where there's little hooks on the side of the head. Forget the name of the head. That is illegal. All right. So again, no sharp edges or no protrusions on these heads. Yes, thank you, David. It is a gate head. I forget the name of the gate head. We just went over this recently. So just be on the lookout for that during your stick checks, guys. We got rid of the whole cleat rule without the attached spikes now. So, I mean, I don't know if really anybody who's, looking to see if the spikes screw in or not. So I'm not too worried about that, but we got rid of that completely. Still no metal spikes, guys. So just remember that. If you're checking cleats, make sure they're not metal spikes. So play shall be restarted at the beginning of each period after each goal by facing the ball at center. There are a few exceptions to this. A player advantage or a flag down, creating a player advantage. A player or team commits a foul before any face-off. A player at any face-off delays the continuation of play. A player moves the cross or the body after set is said, gaining an advantage. So guys, after you say set, and they're down. And then the one Fogo decides to jump his legs out behind him. Blow that whistle, illegal procedure, ball's going the other way. All right. Once you say set, they're not allowed to move. That's it. Us as officials, we are allowed to suspend play at our discretion. Player loses any of their mandatory personal equipment in scrimmage area. Player's injured. Play shall be suspended immediately. A goalkeeper outside the crease is treated like a field player. So nothing real new there, guys. Stop play if a player is injured or losing equipment unless it's an imminent scoring opportunity. You're all officials. You know where an imminent scoring opportunity is, or so I hope at this point. So use your judgment. Play is suspended immediately if the goalkeeper's stick or any other mandatory goalie equipment becomes broken while he's in the crease. Because the crease is kind of his safe haven. So goalie's stick breaks or whatever, hey, blow that blood, get him new equipment, and then start up again. Running time, penalty time will start with the whistle resuming play after the penalty is administered. There's time remaining on a non-releasable penalty when the goal is scored. The earliest the penalty will release when the ensuing faceoff has been completed. That's just hammering out the protocol for penalties on running time. It gets a little funky. So just kind of go over the rules changes. Steve or one of the assigners or myself, if you have questions about it, we can always just send it to you. Ryan has it now. Everybody has it. So we can send you the link if you can't find it. But if you just Google Boys Lacrosse 2023 rules changes, it'll be the first thing that pops up. So just before you get out there, just familiarize yourself with these, please. All right. Thank you, guys.
Did you guys were able to, I know that today is the US Lacrosse convention. Were they able to send us the video that they were showing today at the US Lacrosse convention, or is that something that we're going to end up obtaining after convention and then emailing it out to everyone for everyone to watch? Do you have that rules video or no?
I don't have it yet. I will email Lou later today. I don't know. I think their meeting was yesterday. So I'll email Lou today after this and see if I can get the copies.
Okay, we're gonna send an email link to everybody for the rules change video, since this weekend is the convention and they're just going over it, so it's really not released as of yet till after convention. So be on the lookout for an email, probably potential multiple emails from this meeting that you're going to have, but the rules video is going to be included in that email that's going to be coming out to everybody. Okay, Pat, you have anything else?
Pat,
Yeah, I just got a little bit
Pat,
more.
we got a question real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
David with a hand raised.
Yes, in addition to the gatehead, has there been any clarification on the face-off stick shaft that has the ridge on it as to being legal or illegal this season?
I have not seen anything that has come out about that. The only one that I know of off the top of my head is that gate D head, because it has the protrusions and sharp edges that are meant to hook the opposing player. I have not seen anything about a face-off stick or a shaft. All I've seen is the head.
Pat, we also have Mike with his hand raised. Mike.
Hey guys, good morning. A couple quick things, especially going back to what Pat was talking about with the eye black. Players are now also putting eye black on their legs and using it to put like smiley faces and whatever else on their legs. Cut that crap too. If you Google search, there was a player in the Northeast towards the end of last year who got caught with a swastika on his leg. Needless to say, you don't want to be the crew that's on that game. So if you see the eye black on the legs, just tell them to wash it off. There's no need for it. The other thing too is to make sure, Steve was talking about all of us being on the same page. It's some of the little things, right? As we get closer to playoffs and we start, having the different regions. So it doesn't matter where you officiate. There's certain things that are black and white we all have to make sure we're on the same page with. So things like, especially when it comes to the lines, in and out of the box, things like that, just make sure you're staying sharp on the rule book and there's really no such thing as we call it this way or this region calls it that way. Just keep that stuff black and white and keep it super easy. And other than that, have a good season.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, like Mike said about the eye black, we can even look at, in-house in South Carolina. I think it was last year's state finals game. I think Mike might have been the R on the game. Well, one of the kids that had the star, David, painted on his face an eye black. I mean, first off, I don't know why they want to do that, simply because that shit's a pain in the ass to get off. It takes hours and days. But hey, you do you, Buttercup. But, when Mike said something, they're like, oh, well, our officials don't call it that way. He's never said anything about that. So that's why I'm saying, hey, guys, let's get on the same page. Let's follow the rule book. We follow the rule book for a reason. It's there for a reason. Let's go off that. Let's not just let them get away with whatever the fuck they want. We're not primetime UVA Duke. All right. So let's just NFHS rules, single stripe, and that's it. Moving on, guys. SCLOA swag, kind of like that hoodie that you guys have seen that Steve Elias is wearing. There's a multitude of stuff on there. Everything is marked at the price point that comes on the website. We do not take any proceeds from this whatsoever. I know that's come up in the past. People have asked me that. We have the link on our website as well that Ryan has updated. Here's the link attached as well. You can get, shorts, shirts. If you want a mask, you can get a mask still. A bunch of shit, guys. Hoodies, sweatpants, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested in some SCLOA swag, going to your game or it's a rainy game, there are rain jackets on there with our SCLOA logo on it. Not a bad thing to have for a really shitty rainy game. All right. All right, guys, real quick, USA Lacrosse memberships. If your membership is no longer active, you have received an email from me yesterday. Really simple, guys. No US Lacrosse membership equals no games. Your signers know who is up to date and who isn't. Like I said, no membership, no games. It's a liability issue, guys. Okay, so if you're not sure, go on US Lacrosse and check. And if you're still not sure, call me, text me, email me, and I'll be happy to look for you. All right, get that shit up to date though, guys. Same with Arbiter, same with High School League. Get everything up to date.
No, we'll do that.
Like I said, guys, registration at the High School League. If you're not registered, then you don't get any games until you're registered. They can't. Again, liability issues. And then testing, guys. Every year it's been better, but you got to get the US Lacrosse and you got to get the NFHS done. I don't know if you haven't done already. Get them done, guys. All right. No games until these exams are done. Your signers are able to see who has and who hasn't completed it. And like I said, we're all on the same page across the board. No games until your tests are done. All right. I know the NFHS test has a closing date, so make sure that you get it done. If you guys want to form a study group, get a study group. Go out to the bar and take the test. Works for me. I don't care. Just get it done. All right. That's all I got, guys. If you guys got any questions, any comments or concerns, either feel free to message me, put it in the group chat, call, text me, email me. I'm always around. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, unless Kirk, you see anything in the chat room or anything like that, thank you very much, Pat. I appreciate it. Anything, Kirk, or no?
No, I don't think. I think everybody's kind of answered everything.
All right, fantastic. Rusty, Treasurer's Report, you're next.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Put together a little report of our beginning balance as of this year and where we're at from last year. You can see the expenses in the far right expense column versus our income, which is just dues. And if you go down to the bottom of the page, you see some other deposits. That's dues also that were put in December this last year. So you see it that where our expenses are, where our income is, and where our ending balance is as of December of last year. Okay. Might have some questions about some of those expenses. I'll be glad to answer if I can. I hope I can. And then I can talk to you about the number of officials that have paid their due so far as of today. So any questions on that? Okay, number of officials have paid, there's a list in there. We may not put it in the meeting today, but as of today, there's 41 officials have paid. And I think I've answered a lot of you guys' questions if you've got the check or has it gone through Venmo. So I've got some checks, a couple guys have paid me cash, but most of the donate or association fees have been paid through Venmo. Okay.
All right. Any questions, any questions of Rusty, anybody? The books are available for anybody to be able to see them. You have the right to be able to see the books. If you have any questions or concerns about anything, you can absolutely just ask for it and we will provide it to you. So don't think that it's a secret, guys. It is available for you to be able to see if you would like to see it. I see a couple of things. All right. So quite frankly, as I said before, if you're going to vote, you need to have your dues paid. All right. If you're going to vote, your dues have to be paid. And the test can be found on the South Carolina High School League administration page on the Arbiter. And the NFHS test is due to be completed on February 5th. It goes offline February 5th. If you do not take it by February 5th, you will not be able to referee lacrosse, high school lacrosse this season. February 5th is the drop dead date. Okay. Anyone else have any questions of Rusty?
We do have,
Steve, how do we get the book?
The rule books have been just distributed to the assigners. So the assigners are going to be getting with everybody as far as how to obtain the rule book, stuff like that. When we get up to the assigners section of today's presentation, that will be each assigner will let you know how they're going to be able to disseminate rule books to each and every single official.
Thank you.
Kirk, anything else, or does anyone have any questions for Rusty?
we have one hand raised. Tom?
When you pay your dues to USA Lacrosse, they'll send you a rule book also.
Yes, they do. You've got to suggest, you got to request you get 3 rule books to choose from. Either the NFHS rule book that's provided to you already by the South Carolina High School League, or the college rule book, or the youth rule book. So when you put in, you actually put in this is the rule book that I want to have sent to me. So those rule books, whatever rule book you requested, will get sent to you after the convention, which is going on this weekend. All right. Anything else for Rusty? Going once? Going twice? Okay, Ryan Bailey.
How's it going, guys? I am the new secretary, like Steve mentioned, and I've been a part of the board for a few months now. And Steve and I have been hosting new officials weekly training, and going forward, we'll assist with play days, scrimmages, and part of being the assigner, I'll be dealing with that in the Midlands. And also, I've been sending links out in the chat. I've been helping with the webpage, trying to help people with due dates, testing, whatever information they may need from the website, rather than having to email everyone back and forth, just trying to have a one-stop shop. So if you ever have a question, get on the website. If you have problems, just make sure you reach out to me and we'll try to fix it. And Charlie and a few other people on the board with me have been working with USA Lacrosse on grants, scholarships, trying to assist with budgeting, training, whether it's training younger officials or brand new officials, and we're all trying to get up to the senior level. So, and like with other people on the board, we're making sure all members are up to date with the testing, whether it's the high school league, USA Lacrosse, just all the conditions that need to be met in order to do games this upcoming season.
Does anyone have any questions of Ryan? Does anyone have any to any information that they need to, get from Ryan. His email is listed, plenty of places you'll be able to find it. Ryan has done an absolute positively bang up job on each and every single thing that has been requested and thrust upon him. I would like to give a phenomenal round of applause to Ryan Bailey in the job that he's done so far in his short term as becoming secretary. Guys, he is doing a phenomenal job. And when you do get a chance to see him, please say and thank him for what he has done, because the amount of I am a computer moron and he is not, and he is absolutely making sure that everyone has access to all the information in a one-stop shop, and we are relaying the information in the best way possible. So thank you, Ryan. I cannot thank you enough.
Let's not boost his ego too much, y'all.
All right.
It's already out there. We're fine.
Next is the at-large members. So we'll start off with Charlie. If there's some things you'd like to speak on, Charlie, go right ahead.
Hey guys, so a couple things that I've been working on is really helping the board take things to the next level. Steve and everybody's really trying to grow the organization and really take things to the next level. Everybody talks about how the coaches are new and teams are new and schools are new. We're trying to make sure that from an officiating standpoint, that we're ahead of that curve, and I've been trying to help with that as best I can. It's impressive to see what's going on here with everything. I've been in contact with USA Lacrosse for grants and scholarships to help us with that growth. Obviously, we would love to have additional training resources that we can use. I've been helping with the new officials trainings, and will be assisting with with play days and things of that nature coming up. So that's kind of how that's been going for me, being on the board. So I've enjoyed being a part of it. So that's all I got, Steve.
Any questions for Charlie, guys?
Yeah. Hey, Charlie, Tom, so US Lacrosse has stopped giving out funding to each state, right? For a member that they're in. US Lacrosse used to give out a certain amount of money or percentage of membership from each state. They've stopped doing that, correct? They're just going straight to the grants.
That's correct. So they had a procedural change.
Right.
It was about 4 or 5 years ago, if my time frame's correct. And basically they said, hey, we're not getting anything back from this. So we want to have a better way to monitor and see what the associations are doing with the money. And so they require things to be grants and scholarships. That way you can apply and you can say specifically, I need $1,000 for X, Y, and Z. And then they can come back and say yes or no. And then after the fact, you have to turn in a report explaining we got $1,000, we did X, Y, and Z, and here's the proof. So it's a little bit more checks and balances with that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not what the original mission of the US Lacrosse was supposed to be. Who are the South Carolina reps on that? Just Cossetti? Who's the South Carolina reps that's on that board?
Well, there's nobody on that board from the state. Steve Elias is the state coordinator for boys. So when anytime they need a representative from the state of South Carolina for USA Lacrosse, Steve Elias is the one that does that for the officials. And that is something that he had to apply for. And they reviewed his application along with several others. You had to go through a full background check by USA Lacrosse, as well as receive recommendations from other people to get that position. There's a few other little things, but it's a very well-deserved title and requires a certain amount of work and communication from USA Lacrosse, and there certainly are meetings that he has to attend and Zoom calls and things of that nature. So there's
I'm familiar with
definitely,
yeah, I know how all that works. I was just wondering, so there's only one rep is what you're saying. Okay, thanks.
that's correct. And I just wanted to fill everybody else in on what's going on that may or may not know all the backstories of things.
All right, does anybody have any questions of Charlie? Just to kind of fill in the gap, a long time ago, I mean, there was a South Carolina chapter of US Lacrosse that, may or may not have been the most successful organization in South Carolina for lacrosse, but it is no longer a thing. And I have been speaking with Lou, who is Southeastern Regional Director, about the potential of that to come back. And there are some obstacles that are in the way. And whether or not that does happen or doesn't happen is to be determined. So there may be something, but there won't. Let me put it to you this way: there will not be anything that's going to involve the South Carolina Lacrosse Officials Association and the boys officials that's going to put any sort of additional burden or any sort of officials at risk, whether they be a board member or anything, if certain criteria doesn't get met. So I am out to look out after your best interest, your safety, your security, making sure that nobody here gets sued for anything whatsoever. So there are certain criteria that needs to get met that I feel is in the best interest, and other board members feel is in the best interest of our chapter. And if they're not able to fulfill those obligations, that progression of the South Carolina organization again might still be delayed. So that's kind of the very vague outline of that, but keep in mind, I do have your best interest in mind. The board does have your best interest in mind when it comes to this topic. All right, Kirk Rogers next.
Hey guys, I'm going to be pretty brief here. I just wanted to talk about something that we have put into place going forward, and that is on the topic of continuing education. A lot of professional organizations, they have continuing education requirements. It's really important that we continue to improve and get better, and we want all of our membership to not get complacent. It's easy to get complacent when we have a referee shortage and there's no one knocking on the door to back us up. But what we wanted to do as an organization was offer 5 stipends a year to referees that were interested in continuing their education, continuing to better themselves as officials. And we're going to do that through Laredo, through lacrosse conventions. So if anybody is going to or plan on going to Laredo or going to a lacrosse convention to better themselves, please reach out to the president, secretary, or treasurer. We don't have a form for it just yet, but to request these stipends. They're going to be sent and awarded on by the board of directors. And it's not going to cover the cost of the whole thing, right? I think the Laredos right now are maybe upwards of $200, $250. And you have to travel. There's none in the state. I think the closest one is at UNC. And the lacrosse conventions are obviously usually in the Mid-Atlantic or, Northeast. But what we want to do is provide this, opportunity to at least supplement the cost of these things, because we know it's important that our membership just improve, right? So I do see a lot of hands raised. What kind of questions do you guys have for that?
Hey, Curtis, David. Just a quick question. So it's 5 stipends of $100. Is it if there's only one person that applies, would would y'all be willing to give them more money to help offset the costs? Or would that money roll over to next year to give more people an opportunity? Or are we looking at every year trying to spend $500 on the board to give, the best, just using that money every year type of deal? Is that?
Yeah, so it was, we did discuss that. It was gonna be a $100 maximum. So members couldn't get more than $100 per year. If we don't use all that money, it's earmarked towards those stipends. I believe it would just go into the general fund. We wouldn't be giving more out year by year.
It's a use it, or just we'll end up using it locally. And essentially, just so you know, that if let's say we only use $100, all right, only $100 ends up getting used in what we have in our budget. What'll end up happening is that remaining $400 just stays in our account. I mean, we use it, whether we use it then towards a year-end party, a preseason party, whatever. It just stays in our account. Maybe it gets used towards gifts for the chapter, for membership, whether coins or whatever. But essentially, the money just stays in the account. It doesn't roll over from year to year, and no official gets anything more than $100.
Yeah, Joey.
So what you're saying is it's just kind of included in the general fund. It's not like earmarked specifically for professional development or anything like that. Because if it was earmarked, then you could kind of roll it over and have a fund that grows, so that if 5 years down the road we have 10 guys that want to go, we have that availability. I just didn't know how that worked.
Okay, so essentially, when we went over our budgeting and all that kind of stuff, we are working pretty close and pretty tight to zero as 501c3 nonprofit organizations are supposed to. So what we're trying to do is spend what comes in, and we're trying to carry as minimal of a balance as we possibly can, just so that way we are in accordance with whatever laws, rules, and regulations there are. It is a discussable item, and the discussions include creating committees for this. So those committees are essentially, once we find out the new board member, all right, all that stuff, the voting happens and stuff like that. Those committees are going to be getting created, and how this dynamic is going to end up working, and how other dynamics are going to end up working, are all going to be solidified with the new board of directors, including the two new and or old at-large members. So after the voting is complete.
David, what's up?
Yeah, so I mean, 5 is plenty for when we're looking at 60 to 80 officials. I was just thinking that if we don't have 5 people apply to further, if we could use the excess money to probably offset new officials costs, because like I said, I think the biggest problem that we have for new officials is the amount that they have to pay to just get one game. I mean, they easily could do 3 or 4 games before they start even seeing a profit. So I think that, if instead of just rolling over, using that towards new officials, on a, person by person basis could help with new officials coming in. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good thing, and we talked about that on the board a lot, of creating that, it's a balance and a tension between, not only paying for new officials and recruiting and spending money on that, but also boosting up the membership through, these stipend for continuing education of current officials.
So obviously, David, what'll happen is we'll put an email out to who's going to end up being the committee head, and who's going to end up being on the committee and stuff like that. So that will be something that if you do choose to get on the committee, whether you're at-large member or whether you're just a regular person just on the committee, those will be topics that you'll be able to bring up with the committee, and then together the committee will come up with some sort of plan. The plan will then come to the board, and then we will end up voting on what what the plan and making adjustments if needed be. So, anyone else has that opportunity as well to be part of whatever committee. And those emails about committees after the at-large membership has been completed will be coming out to the entire chapter. Okay. All right. Anyone have any other questions for Kurt? All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the assigners. We're going to let the assigners discuss with you how they are going to distribute books if that needs to be done or whatever, and how they're planning on doing their assigning and what their expectations are of each and every single official that are going to be working this season. So I will start off since I have the mic right now. I am the assigner for the Myrtle Beach area. I take care of all the schools in my area. Just so that way everyone knows, we have a play date set for February 11th at Soxty High School. The exact time is to be determined. Usually it ends up being a 8 a.m. So we will find out I will get that information out to all of my local officials on what time that play day is going to happen. But please block your schedules from other sports and have yourself available for February 11th up here in Myrtle Beach. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to my expectations, I expect communication. I expect quality teamwork. I expect from the officials that I assign the ability to manage and maintain their Arbor account in a proper order. So those are the things that I look for. I look for officials that are going to be taking care of the things that are there, and manage the things that are manageable. Things that are manageable, and the more things that you do to be able to maintain control and order throughout the season, not having reassigning games and stuff like that. You maintain your schedule is the things that I look for. Being able to attend any of these in-season training clinics and stuff like that. Those are the things that I look for, and I look at for officials that when I'm trying to pick and choose who's going to work my postseason games. Okay. So February 11th, please keep your schedule open. To any of the members that are interested or potentially coming down to Myrtle Beach, let me know when you're going to come down. If I can fill you in some games, I will definitely fill you in some games, whether it be a Friday, Saturday, or something like that. We will probably not be able to give you the game mileage from where your home is, but I'm sure that's something will be able to be worked out as far as adequate mileage for you to be making a trip down to Myrtle Beach. I will welcome any official down here with open arms. Just give me a heads up so I can add you to my list of the officials that I signed down over here. Does anyone have any questions for me about the assigning? All right, Tom, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Tom, go ahead. You discuss about your area.
Well, if you guys need a rule book, text me. The Charleston guys, we can meet somewhere and I can drop those off. The guys down in Beaufort, to be honest with you, I don't really know how many of the guys out in the Beaufort area are actually returning. I don't know who's on this call. If you are on this call and still working and haven't reached out to me at Hilton Head Beaufort area, please drop me a email and I can mail out a book, a rule book to you. Most likely down in the Hilton Head Savannah area, guys are going to be going back and forth across the river, working both Georgia and South Carolina. So hopefully some of those guys that are going to be working some games in South Carolina, I think a few of them are actually over in the Georgia meeting today. But just make sure that you get all your stuff in. I don't know if this was covered. I was kind of transferring into my car here, but your eligibility shows up in Arbiter. whether or not you've paid your US, this goes for everybody, whether or not you've paid your US Lacrosse, your current member, whether or not you've paid your South Carolina High School League dues and have registered for lacrosse for the South Carolina High School League, that shows in our arbiter system. It's not perfect, it's not 100%, but 9 times out of 10, it's correct. So if you're having an issue with that, and this is anywhere across the state, you need to let me know. If somebody says you didn't pay your US Lacrosse, and you said, yeah, I did, and I have the membership email here, shoot me a line and let me know that you've done that, because it's but most of the time the system works well. So we do have a way of tracking all that, and it's relatively simple. But just, make yourself available. The more games you want to work, open up the schedule, and we are going to try to go and put 3 guys on as many games as we can. We're going to definitely try to force these schools to move in that direction. But other than that, if you have any questions, just drop me a line, shoot me an email. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Mitch Peterson up next.
I believe Mitch had a game.
Yeah, Mitch
Okay.
isn't on the call right now.
Mitch was traveling to a game, so he may not be able to participate.
Okay, then Ryan Bailey.
Yeah, just to touch on what everyone said. I mean, if you need a rule book, just text me, and I have a handful. Also, if you're in the Irmo area, you can reach out to Dave. I dropped off a couple of books with him, because I know there's some people that live in Chapin, rather than having to make the trip down to Lexington or downtown Columbia. And hopefully we could all get together for a lunch or a dinner if possible, and maybe distribute something there, or find some type of way to meet up just before the season, but nothing too formal.
All right, anyone have any questions of the assigners or anything like that? I'm going to distribute my rule book to whoever happens to show up on February 11th over in Soxie, so I'll bring them there with you guys. So does anyone have any questions about the assigning process and what we're doing there? Okay.
Hey, Steve, let me speak for the upstate since Mitch is not here. We have a play day also on Saturday the 11th. And if anybody is going to come, I can give out rule books there. We've been meeting the last several weeks on a Tuesday night, going over rules and working on the test as a study group together. So we've been doing a good bit up here in the upstate. And right now, I guess that's all I can say.
All right, thank you very much, Rusty. I appreciate it. Does anyone have any old business? Is there any old business that needs to be addressed? Any old business? All right, does anyone have any new business that they'd like to that they would like to bring up and like to discuss?
Steve, I do. It's Tom Gill.
Okay, Tom, you have the floor.
I had spoken to Steve a couple of times about this. And I saw the budget report. So number one, it's not going to cost anything out of the budget for this, but a number of the other associations throughout the country, especially up in the Northeast area, the Officials Association gives out a sportsmanship award within their regions. And I'd spoken to Steve, and I'd like to make a proposal that each region give out a sportsmanship award to one of the institutions. Sportsmanship is a very broad term, but I think the criteria of sportsmanship is right on the South Carolina High School Association, and you could use that criteria. And I think it would also be another way for the Officials Association to help with the sportsmanship issues that are out there. So it's not going to cost anything. I do have 1 or 2 sponsors that are lined up at this time. It's just going to be a sheet of paper printed out with the South Carolina Lacrosse Officials Association and the institution. I'm talking to 2 banks, so they're going to back it. So it's not going to cost the association anything, but I think it could be something proactive for the association. So that's what I wanted to just throw out there.
Okay, so you're talking about a sportsmanship award for a team, not for an individual. You're speaking about getting a
program.
Okay.
Yes, a program.
right.
And it's done. Some of you have been in other areas. Pat English, you've been up in Billy Soch has been up in the Jersey area. All these groups turn around and do it. So it's for an institution, 1 institution in each area. And the officials in that area, you guys can vote on who you think it is.
Right.
Just a thought.
So this may be something that probably needs to be brought up to Charlie and the South Carolina High School League, and to see how that goes and stuff like that. And just to see whether or not we can, whether we can do this or not. It might be that they just say we don't care. It might be that they do care, and we will find out what it is that
I'm not sure what the political structure of things are here, but I don't see why there's any reason why you need to go to the high school league or anything. I mean,
because some schools can feel that shows favoritism to one school over another.
No,
I mean,
you're voting on it as association. That could be done in any of the areas.
You can still show favoritism. That's how some of the coaches in schools might see it.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, because I agree with that too, because you've got then officials voting on schools that they think show better sportsmanship or teams that do a better job of following the rules, things like that. If you're going to do that, I think it would need to go through the high school league. And I think it might need to be that our association can give one from the coaches voting. Like as officials, we can, that gives a good little bond between players, coaches, teams, things like that. But it's also the coaches voting on it too. I don't think it just needs to be officials, because then it comes into the issue of, well, all the officials like Flora better than other teams in the Midlands, so they're going to give them better calls, all that stuff.
Guys, let me jump in on here real quick. All right, real quick. As I have experience actually with what Tom Gill is talking about, because I did come from up north, like Scotia, like Tom Gill. Okay. So yes, and I just looked at the Nassau County Lacrosse Officials Association website. It is a form on their website that is done through their equivalent to our high school league. It doesn't cost the association anything, but it is run in conjunction with their Nassau County BOCES, so which is our high school league essentially. So if we're gonna do something, let's do it the right way. It's a good idea Tom Gill brought up. As a board, we can kind of discuss it, probably go through the high school league, be like, hey, it's what we're thinking. What do you think? And if the board tells us to fuck off, all right, then we can go from there. But I think right off the rip, coming out of left field with that might be a little much. I like where you're coming from with this, Tom. I do like it a lot. We did it up north, but it can see a little bit of favoritism. Hence why let's not come out of left field. Let's go to the high school league. Let's talk about it with the board and go to the high school league, and then we'll go from there, and we'll keep everybody in the loop. It is a good idea. Good practice.
I'd like to put something in. Okay. As far as the coaches voting on anything, 90% of the coaches in the South Carolina League are not qualified sportsmanship to vote. Okay.
That's not true.
You guys know it. I know it.
No, it's not.
Let's.
All right. Hang
where
on,
it
guys.
is.
Hang on. Here.
They shouldn't be allowed to vote.
All right, listen.
We have officials that look for trouble at games too. So why should their vote be?
No, but I mean, the coaching here
that's just
in
wrong.
the state, you guys know, they don't know the rules. They don't coach their kids properly.
You're right. There's some coaches.
Officials have
You're
problems.
saying majority. That's not true.
Okay.
All right, guys, stop. Okay, we're not going to talk about the negative about this proposal, because it's a positive proposal. It's a positive pitch. So all we're doing is we're just going to go through the motions with this. Tom is going to send us in writing what he proposes and stuff like that. And then we're going to just go through the pecking order. I have I don't have anything wrong with it. It's a great idea. We just want to make sure that we go through the proper steps, just like anything. We're going to walk it up the ladder and see how it goes and take it from there. And
It's a
a
good
committee-
idea for the officials to vote.
a committee is
Coaches
going
to
to
vote.
determine how it's going to end up going. The state is going to determine how that ends up voting and stuff like that. It's probably going to be, with the officials, since it's going towards an organization. What organization is going to just vote for themselves? So let's just, the
Correct.
proposal is there. Tom is going to send the board a proposal of what he sees it going and how he sees it going. The committee will be formed to discuss it and go over it. And then there'll be something that's going to be brought up to the state. And this is what we'd like to do. And then we're just going to move it along in the order that it needs to go. This is just the initial burst of this, and it's going to take some time for it to all come together. All right. So I think we all agree that this is going to end up being a positive thing. So let's not bring the negative into it, and keep it moving in a good order. Does anyone else have any other comments about this topic? Does anyone have any other new business that they wish to discuss?
Steve, there's been a lot of chatter about in-person versus online for this event next year. Has that been finalized, or would we like to put it to a vote to include on that Monday? Email?
I think that there's some positive and some negative of both, but I really think that we need to start moving towards the in-person meetings again. I think that's the direction that we're going to be heading in, and moving the meetings back to Heathwood Hall, if they'll welcome us back, and have our in-person meetings again. And as I said earlier, quite possibly, the meeting will end up including a breakfast for everyone instead of a end of season meeting, because the reason why we had that end of season party that year is because they had multiple dates for the state finals. They are just going to have one date for the state finals, and by the time the game gets over, it's really late. Not everyone's going to be able to drive back home at a timely fashion. So if we're going to have, let's say, a 10 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. meeting at Heathwood Hall, guys can come early and we can have some sandwiches, whether it be something from Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, or somebody else knows some other breakfast place out over there to do something that way. But in person is the way we're going to be moving for next season's meeting. And I think that next season's meeting is going to have to be after the annual convention. And we're going to have our meeting after the annual convention. I'm thinking, and this is just me spitballing here, the meeting is going to be that week, that Saturday, in between the football championship, conference championship games and the Super Bowl. So plan on next year's meeting being at Heathwood Hall the weekend before the Super Bowl in February, which is going to be the first Saturday in February, to the best of my recollection, at Heathwood Hall. Does that answer your questions? All right.
All right, so we're saying that this is happening and it's not up for discussion, right?
Correct, Dave. We're moving back to in-person. We just haven't finalized.
I mean, I feel like it should be a discussion. To say that it's just going in person is better.
You're gonna talk?
Yeah, we have all this communication in the chats. That's great for everybody. We're not asking anybody to drive 2 or 3 hours away. I don't see the benefit of us having it at a neutral site where we have to commute. The communication's not as easy to control. And then on top of, I don't know what we're paying to rent a place at Heathwood Hall. So
all that, listen, I understand what you're saying. I really do. So if you want to have a further discussion, then okay. But I think that before COVID, everyone, myself included, coming from Myrtle Beach, I didn't want to have to make that 3 3-hour drive out to Columbia and stuff like that. But it is the price of doing business. It is the cost of doing business. And the trip that you make out for the meeting, those mileage are tax deductible. You're going out for the meeting for the purposes of officiating. It is something that is also tax deductible. And I know that may or may not sit well with some people or whatever, because of whatever their reason. But we had these meetings before that were at Heathwood Hall, and there is no reason why we can't go back to doing these meetings back in person.
I mean, are we saying that the meetings that we've had since COVID are not as productive as it was before? Because if that's the argument, I disagree.
So you're saying that the Zoom meetings are more productive than the in-person?
Yeah, because just right now, especially with Ryan having it, he's updating the chat in the instant. We're not taking notes. Everybody's still taking notes at home. It's more comfortable. And we're getting up-to-date information on the spot without having to, hey, can we go back and look at this so we can take notes again?
Okay. I'll tell you what.
I would piggyback on that too. I mean, it's not saying one is more productive than the other. It's saying that I think the technology we have allows us to have an equally productive meeting, but then you're also not asking people to pay $3.50 a gallon for gas to drive to Columbia.
I get it, but also every other association that I know of, including up north, out west.
That's not a good argument. We're not a part of other associations.
That, yeah.
This is South Carolina Association. What y'all did in New Jersey, what happens in Georgia, I don't care about. This is South Carolina lacrosse,
we're not
and
only,
this is what I
we are
want
a
to
lacrosse
focus on.
association, so we piggyback off of each other. We take things from
Okay, so why
chapters
do
that
we
been
have to
around
copy
longer,
what
that are
other
doing it
people
more
do?
successfully than us. That is what we
Because
do.
they've been around longer. Just because they've been around longer doesn't mean they're more successful. They have a 30-year head start on us. We can do stuff different.
All right, listen, this is what I'm willing to do. Personally, I would like to go back to in-person meetings. I'd like to hang out and shoot the shit somewhat with everybody in person, face to face, and have that connection. That's what I would like. All right. It is not my chapter. It is everyone else's chapter. Okay. I'm just conducting the meeting. I just happen to be the arbiter, the administrator of what's going on. So here's what I'm willing to do. Put another vote out there about having the meeting be continue this way or be in person. All right. Everyone's going to have their opinion, and we can put it out to people, and what ends up happening is what ends up happening, and we will all each live and die with whatever ends up being. I think that, me personally, David, and coming from someone that's going to be in Columbia, right where the meeting's going to be, it's a little weird for you to take the position that you're taking.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you right now. I mean, I got my daughter in the other room that I'm not spending time with. I'm a big family man, so me taking to get away as soon as this meeting's over, I'm hanging out with my 9-year-old. So I mean, we can see. I mean, even Kurt has his kids, and Joey's kid's been popping in and out of the room. So as soon as this meeting's over, I get to spend time with my kid instead of having to worry about a commute. Even then, he lives 30 minutes from me. So
that's fine.
I think we're also trying to think about, I'm from the Midlands too. I mean, it takes me 30 minutes to get to the meeting, 30 minutes to get home. That's not a big deal, but I'm also thinking just globally wise, if we're talking about our organization, we got guys that are driving 3.5, 4 hours at $3.50 a gallon. That's the only thing too, is we're looking at it as a why. Yeah. That's why I was saying a vote might be good. So.
All right. I understand. We'll put a vote, and maybe what we'll end up doing is having some sort of regional meeting potentially that everyone is seeing in the chat, that is going to be something that, here's what it might entail. Okay. If we're going to end up having this, just to be assured that people are fulfilling their obligations, it might entail there being regional meetings, and now people have to attend 2 meetings instead of 1 meeting. You've got to attend the rules meeting that is going to be on Zoom, and then you've got to attend the regional meeting that's going to be in person. So that might be the way that we go, just so that way, discussing what you guys are discussing, but it could mean that we're going to add an additional meeting into our normal meeting minimum requirements. All right. So we will add that into our, all right, that's happening in the upstate already. That's great. So, we'll add that into a vote and stuff like that and get that all taken care of. Is there anything else? All right. Does anyone else have anything else to say about the meeting and stuff like that for next year?
For the meeting, Steve. Why don't
What's
you
that?
do a suggestion for the meeting? Why don't you plan it when there's a tournament like in Myrtle Beach, where the referees that have to spend money come here, they can work the games and the local guys can step back a little bit, let the guys that have to travel work the games, get paid for the games, and that would help them offset the cost. Is that a suggestion?
So we need to make sure that we provide people the new rules and go over that kind of stuff. So when tournaments happen, our lacrosse season is finished.
Yeah, we're meeting afterward.
The South Carolina Lacrosse Officials Association is here and it is in its existence to provide a service for the high school league, not for the tournaments, not for the fall ball and stuff like that. We are here to help service the South Carolina High School League.
I know, but what I'm saying is referees that have to travel long distances, if you plan the meeting within that tournament time, they can work the games to offset their cost to come to the meeting.
Okay. It's a thought. It's a thought.
I think you should put this, I don't think you should vote on it right now. And I think that you should just sit and wait on it. First of all, COVID is not going anywhere. It's around with us. Okay, so I think you should see what the environment of the communities are when it comes, the end of, around December, the end of the year. And then I think that should be open for discussion. And I think the board should turn around and seriously consider having a couple of meetings, one in person, one Zoom, regionally or whatever. But I don't think you should vote on it right now because you don't know what's going to be this time of year. You don't know what it's going to be like. So, but that's just.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Can we also consider having it possibly on a Sunday if we're going to have it into the college season? I know there's probably 8 or 10 of us in this call right now that are college officials. Okay. And there's a bunch of us that are on ways to games already today.
Yep.
And there's not any college games on Sunday. And I know everybody's going to say it's a Sabbath, but I'm sorry. It's going to end up being that 10 of your most seasoned officials are not going to come to the meeting in person because we have other commitments.
That definitely has always been an issue. I know that we try to put our date out there whenever we can, but clearly having the meeting always is going to end up being after the U.S. Lacrosse Convention or the same week as the U.S. Lacrosse Convention. There may even be the possibility of having multiple midweek meetings and doing it that way. It's a difficult thing to get resolved. If we do go to an in-person meeting, whether or not there's going to be school accessibility for us to be able to have a room for everyone. So, there's a lot of different hanging chads, so to speak, as far as questions that need to be answered about how we're going to continue our meetings. So there's a lot of factors we're all going to be discussing as a board in the very, very near future. Anyone else have any questions or concerns about this topic?
So Steve, just to confirm, we're having 3 questions on the at-large, the stripes, and then are we voting on this whenever we send it out Monday?
We're probably going to have 3 questions coming up, 3 issues, the at-large, the stripes, and then the in-person or Zoom style meeting. And whether or not there's going to be some sort of a hybrid, like attending a regional meeting, that kind of thing. We'll speak, Ryan, and figure out how we want to question that, how we want to put that question to the chapter.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can talk details forward because let's say 95% of the chapter wants to do in person, then we don't have to speak about other details. But
Right.
if it goes a different way, then there's more discussions.
Yep. All right. Does anyone have any other questions or concerns that they wish to speak about? Any other new business or anything like that? All right, guys, it looks like we are done here sometime a little bit 15 minutes before. So unless anyone else has any other raising their hands or any other questions or concerns that they wish to speak about, I am just looking now for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. I second.
I second.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation. I look forward to seeing everyone this season out on the field at some point, speaking with all you guys. And good luck this year, guys. Let's all have a great season. See yous.
Thanks, Steve. Good job.
Steve, are you staying on or?